McCafferty's Bib. I don't know what we just listened to there. They Might Be Giants. KRFF 95.9 LPFM Radio Free Fargo. .org. We're streaming everywhere, and I hope you get a chance to listen to me, Wilson. What in the world? It's Thursday. It's 4. And what happens is I give you a curated week of wacky news that makes you go, what in the world? In the world? Question mark, exclamation point. And so I got stuff for you today. Last week was a heavily bodily fluid influenced show. I can tell you that that's not the case today. I don't know if there's a theme, but it's certainly a wacky display of humanity, and I'm going to bring it to you, and I got some tunes to do as well. But first, programming on KRFF, LPFM, Radio Free Fargo 95.9 FM is being underwritten by Flatland Guitar and Luthery. Flatland Guitar is your full-service guitar shop and your exclusive dealer for Yamaha, Taylor, and Paul Reed Smith guitars and other brands. They sell guitars on consignment. They take trade-ins and have a full-service on-site repair center. Check out Flatland Guitar and Luthery on Facebook or come by and visit them in person at their location at 1450 25th Street South in Fargo, and we're just cruising right along. Nonprofit Radio Free Fargo 95.9 KRFF is listener supported. Radio Free Fargo receives no government support nor grant monies presently, and traditional advertising is not an option for nonprofits. We do have underwriting, which is different. Radio Free Fargo believes in trying to represent the widest spectrum of music. If you believe in community radio and would like to help, visit our website, www.radiofreefargo.org. Click on the donate button. As always, thank you for your support. Please tell others about Radio Free Fargo. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. 1,200 megs of locally grown hemp whipped up into a fun tub of outer body butter for your body, buddy. Thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy, for sponsoring the show. Now, I used to do all the drugs, and I don't anymore. And I give the man upstairs props for helping me do that, and I show him gratitude. Every Sunday, 10 a.m. recovery, 11 a.m. worship, 417 Main Avenue, Antioch Church. All right, well, let's get into some of these stories here. We've got the boring stuff out of the way. And speaking of church, this is from AP News, and I don't know. I spoke to my pastor last night asking if we could do this, and I'll tell you. England's wrestling church seeks converts with baptisms and body slams. That's right. Churchgoers roared as burly wrestlers body slammed and threw one another to the floor in Shipley, UK. This is Wrestling Church, the creation of Gareth Thompson, a charismatic 37-year-old who says he was saved by pro wrestling and Jesus. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't mind it. I think that'd be great. Sitting around a wrestling ring, churchgoers roared as local hero Billy O'Keefe body slammed a fighter named Disciple. That's beautiful. Beneath stained glass windows, they whooped and cheered as burly tattooed wrestlers tumbled into the aisle during a 6-man tag team battle. This is Wrestling Church. Man, I hope it makes it to the States. I might switch my church up, which brings blood, sweat, and tears, and mostly sweat, to St. Peter's Anglican Church in the northern England town of Shipley. It's the creation of Thompson. He said he was saved, like I said, by pro wrestling and Jesus. Thompson says the outsized characters and scripted morality battles of pro wrestling fit naturally with a Christian message. Well, amen. Boil it down to the basics. It's good versus evil, which in a Catholic church setting, too, with them stained glass. I mean, you got all those statues looking at you while people are flipping and slamming. I'm like, that's the future in church. When I became Christian, I started seeing the wrestling world through a Christian lens. I started seeing Dave and G, and I started seeing Cain and Abe, and I started seeing Esau having his heritage stolen. And he's like, we can tell these stories. And so church attendance in the UK has been declining for decades. Those who say they have a no religion, dare I say, might they be losing their religion, rose from 25 to 37% in a decade. That has led churches to get creative in order to survive. You've got to take a few You've got to take a few risks, said the Reverend Natasha Thompson. Man, I can't talk. Reverend Natasha Thomas, the priest in charge at St. Pete's. She acknowledged that she wasn't entirely sure what it was I was letting myself in for when she agreed to host wrestling events. Of course not. Who would? It's not church as you would know it. It's certainly not for everyone, but it is bringing in a different group of people, a different community than we would normally get. At a recent wrestling church event, almost 200 people, older couples, teens, peers, tattooed wrestling fans, parents with children, packed into chairs around a ring erected under the vaulted ceiling of the century-old church. After a short homily and a prayer, it was time for 2 hours of smackdowns, body slams, and flying headbutts. Praise God. The atmosphere grew cheerfully raucous as fans waved giant foam fingers and hollered, "Knock him out." Some longtime churchgoers have welcomed the infusion of energy. I think it's absolutely wonderful, said Chris Moss. You can look at some of the wrestlers and think you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Thompson, whose wrestling moniker is Gareth Angel, both wrestles and presides. He's a mix of preacher and ringmaster, wearing a T-shirt that says "Pray, Eat, Wrestle, and Repeat." And so he's loved wrestling, and so, I don't know, more power to him. He ran his first wrestling church in a former nightclub in 2022. Man, one guy goes, "I'm mainly here for the wrestling." He said it's a bit surreal when baptisms are held between bouts. What? He goes, "It works both ways. There's people that come here that are big on religion, and they're here for all that sort of stuff. And they go, oh, actually, this wrestling's sort of fun." It's thanks to Kingdom Wrestling that I've had the confidence to pray in the locker room now before matches. That is crazy. Only a handful of people have gone from watching the wrestling to attending Sunday mornings, but Wrestling Church baptized 30 people in its first year. So, people say, oh, wrestling and Christianity, they're two fake things in a fake world of their own existence. I don't know. If I'm ever in Shipley, I'm going to go to that church. That's what I'm going to do, you know. Well, anyway, you're listening to What in the World with Wilson. I'm Wilson. It's Thursday, and I come in here 4 o'clock, and I hit you with news like this. And we're just going to keep right on cruising, because that's what we do. All right. What do we got for you here? This from the Miami Herald. And this headline is beautiful. McDonald's worker wrestles teen to floor. Chokes her over ranch, Florida cops say. A McDonald's worker choked a 17-year-old girl on the floor after the teen was accused of going behind a counter to get her own ranch dressing. Well, and a lot of people would say, well, it serves her right. She knows better than to go behind a counter. I mean, I'm not going to choke her because, you know, that sounds horrible. But I probably would kick her in the throat, you know, coming back here for ranch. Yeah, that's silly. Akina Sampson, 31. He should know better. Is charged with child abuse without great bodily harm, according to St. Pete's Police Department. McClatchy News, which is a great name for a news title, reached out to her public defender April 8th and did not immediately receive a response. Police wrote in an arrest affidavit that McDonald's employees weren't helping the customer that afternoon of April 4. So she went behind the counter and got some ranch. Harmless enough. As she was walking away, Sampson grabbed a teen's arm, and the girl tried to get loose. He grabbed her neck, started choking her, and taking her to the ground. Here we are with this wrestling. I just realized we've got the theme today. It's wrestling. We started with wrestling in church. Now we're wrestling a 17-year-old girl for snagging ranch. It's insane in here. Sampson is accused of continuing to choke the girl on the floor, leaving her with visible injuries. The question is, did she get to keep her ranch? That's what I want to know. But we're going to keep cruising through here. I don't even know what's coming up next. Oh, yeah. This ain't an April Fool's thing here, folks. This is real, but it sounds ridiculous. All right? This is New York Post. New York Post. KFC introduces fried chicken flavored toothpaste. All right. And it's selling out. You can't get it right now. People has bought it out. Fried chicken isn't just a food anymore. It's a paste. KFC recently introduced a fried chicken flavored toothpaste. The flavors are inspired by all of KFC's 11 herbs and spices, which I almost feel like they're supposed to be like trying to hip you to it. You know, oh, good. There's 11 spices in my toothpaste. I mean, I'm just going to go with some regular old fluoride, bruh. I mean, I don't need to feel like I'm eating chicken. I'm brushing my teeth because I just ate chicken. Feel me? Like biting into a hot, juicy piece of KFC original chicken. This toothpaste is irresistible. coating your teeth in flavor before leaving your mouth feeling fresh and clean. I don't know. What y'all think? KFC partnered with Toothpaste, His Smile, to unveil the newest dental hygiene product for a limited time. We love pushing the boundaries, and what better way to do that than bringing KFC's legendary flavors into an everyday essential? It sounds crazy. The collab is bold, unexpected, and seriously fun. Apparently, finger-licking good toothpaste appeals to the oral care-minded public. I would argue that it doesn't. Because, again, you're using food-flavored toothpaste to remove the flavor of food in your mouth. Whatever. Toothpaste, which is offered exclusively on His Smile website for $13, was sold out as of Tuesday. However, you can get their KFC electric toothbrush, which I'm having a birthday next week, and if anybody wants to get me this, it's only $60. That'd be fun. The toothbrush has 3 dynamic cleaning modes and a built-in timer, in case that's what you're looking for in your KFC-themed electric toothbrush. China court auctions off 100 tons of live crocodiles for $500,000. For $500,000. For $500,000. Now, how many crocodiles does it take to get 100 tons? You know? A Chinese court is trying to auction off 100 tons of live crocs for the 3rd time since they were acquired from a bankrupt company and is struggling to find any interested bidders. But how many is that, though? You know? I just found out. The Shenzhen Nashan People's Court announced the questionable auction of the roughly 200 to 500. What do you mean? You don't know for sure? 2 to 5? That's a big jump. But you need $500,000. Of course, 2 prior auctions got no bites, which should tell you something. And no bites. Get it? Crocodiles were previously owned by Guangdong Hanji Crocodile Industry Company, which was founded by the crocodile god. But the company failed to meet its financial obligations. All right. And in China, crocodiles are a top commodity. And I don't know how they could be. You can't sell them. Nobody's buying them, and are used in more than 100 products ranging from makeup to wine. Now let that sink in. Crocodiles are used for wine. But the potential wholesale bargain isn't all it's crocked up to be. The court isn't keen on paying for shipping or handling the mass crocodile transport itself, and it ain't been able to find a buyer willing to pick up the fanged creatures. So, if anybody's interested in purchasing the hundreds of reptiles, has to cover the cost of collection, including capturing and loading the animals. Now, capturing sounds a little tricky. Buyers must hold an artificial breeding license. No one has registered for the auction or clearing the way for a failed 3rd attempt to offload the crocs. I mean, I think that's crazy. 200 to 500. Like, you don't know? So nutty. So nutty. Well, we're going to play a little ditty for y'all. Here's 6 Ways from Sunday, Mofro on 95.9. Yes, indeed. 6 Ways from Sunday, that's Mofro on KRFF 95.9 LPFM, RadioFreeFargo.org, streaming online for y'all not in your car. What in the world with Wilson? I'm Wilson. Up next is TGIAF. That's on deck, so stick tuned around for that. But right now, we got more stuff for you here that'll make you go, what in the world? And that's the point. And I don't know about this, and my daughter knows about my stinky feet problem, and it just really bothers me. Apparently, it's the type of socks I use and how tight my laces are in my shoes, and I've really been trying to work on it. It's a New Year's resolution to unstinkify my feet, and so this article is dedicated to me, actually to my feet. Man develops fungal lung infection due to dirty sock smelling habit. And I know at least one of you is guilty of it. You take your socks off, you get a big whiff? Take a little whiff, you weirdo. Chinese man who had developed a habit of smelling his dirty socks after wearing them for a whole day has been diagnosed with fungal lung infection. That's right. A middle-aged office worker for Chongqing, whose name was not revealed by the media, we'll just call him Stinky, was recently admitted to the Southwest Hospital, the Army Medical University, with a persistent cough. The man told doctors that his cough had worsened in recent days, despite the syrup, and that his eyes had become bloodshot, which prompted him to seek medical assistance. After conducting CT and MRI exams, doctors found suspicious shadows in his lower right lung, and a subsequent bronchoscopy showed that the patient suffered from a fungal lung disease caused by Aspergillus. Upon questioning him about the possible causes of the infection, the doctors learned that the man had developed a habit of smelling his own socks. What a freak, huh? I may have done it a few times. I mean, that might be why my allergies are acting up. While questioning the unnamed patient about his home and how good the air circulation was there, Dr. Liang Piquang, attending physician of the Department of Respiratory Medicine, learned that the man used to smell his dirty socks every time he came home from work before throwing them in the wash machine. After taking a pair of his dirty socks and looking, they found traces of Aspergillus and determined that his unhygienic habit was the cause of the infection. Worn socks contain sweat. They contain salt, urea, and the warm and humid environment inside the shoes promotes fungal growth. Everybody is smelling dirty socks. Even if they are your own, it comes with an increased risk of inhaling dangerous fungus and bacteria. If they get past the nose and throat, they can go to your lungs and cause fungal infections. So keep that in mind, my friends. The next time you want to take a big, dirty, deep inhale of your funk socks, remember Wilson. This is from NPR. U.S.-Russia ballerina freed in prisoner swap. The U.S. and Russia announced they have carried out another prisoner swap, the second such exchange since Donald Trump returned to the White House, vowing to improve relations. Okay, now this girl, she's got dual citizenship. She'd been serving out a 12-year sentence in a maximum security prison. She was a native of Russia's Ural Mountains who later moved to L.A. She's a ballet dancer. Okay. She was detained while visiting her parents in Russia last year. So here's what she did. Carolina, it's hard to say, had donated just over $50 to a U.S.-based Ukrainian aid charity. And I don't know how they found out. Like, I don't know, man. Them Russians are buck wild over there. They launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine February 24th. Prosecutors accused her of financing the Ukrainian army, a charge for which she was later convicted of treason. Now, how they know she did it, I don't know. Under the exchange, the U.S. had freed Arthur Petrov, a dual Russian-German accused of illegally exporting military-grade electronics in violation of U.S. sanctions on Russia. The swap was negotiated through both countries' security, blah, 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 blue, 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 blue. But anyway, he was a little tired, she was a little good, but that was just kind of like a crazy story for me. 12 years seems like a long time. All right, well, let's keep cruising. This is kind of again, you're listening to What in the World with Wilson. Now, and here's what I've noticed. Instead of calling these people old fogies, they're calling them pensioners now, which is code for old. Pensioners turning the heat up so much, police thought it was a cannabis farm. An elderly couple's house was mistakenly raided by police who thought it was a cannabis farm because it was so hot. Officers stormed into the home of Barry and Mavis Lovelock, 78, while they were eating their breakfast on March 15th. The raid was triggered by a thermal helicopter camera which thought their gas-fired heated property was a drugs den. 9 officers charged upstairs searching for plants and the strong lamps which are used to grow them. Mortified, cops then had to admit their tip-off had not been fully accurate. Cause of mistaken raid was the couple's 2 gas fires, which they kept 24/7 during the colder months. Police have apologized and said they raided a separate property and found a large cannabis farm with 79 plants. Mavis, who's lived there since 1978, that she could not stop shaking afterwards. Well, she's going to have to turn the heat up then. She's cold. Somebody shouted back to Barry, "Stand clear!" They just rammed the door in. It was awful. They knocked the gate at the back in and all. It was terrifying. I said to them, "What the devil do you think you're doing?" I said, "There's just 2 pensioners here." But I don't even know where this pensioner word came from. We weren't calling them that 10 years ago, were we? And they just stood there. They just stood there. She added, "They told us the camera on the helicopter had noticed our roof glowing white, but that was just because we have the heating on all the time. People of our age feel the cold, so we need the heating on." The couple who celebrated their golden wedding anniversary last year was even shown a warrant with their house number on it. The couple have been asked to get quotes on how much it will cost to replace the front door and back gate. Barry says Mavis has been left really shook up and struggling to sleep. That's horrible. After most of the officers left, they were only here for 4 or 5 minutes. 2 stayed behind and were apologetic. A rapid response repair came round, fixed the door, but told us not to use it until it's been properly replaced. Police confirm officers they executed warrants based on information received related to the production of cannabis. It just doesn't seem like that's all you need, though. You know, just, ooh, it's hot in there. Let's get it. But anyway, here's what I think is interesting. The spokesman added, due diligence was completed prior to the enforcement taking place. How could it have been? How could there have been due diligence? However, the force acknowledges that the information was not fully accurate and no plants were found inside. Oh, man, that is a crazy story. But that's what we're doing. And, oh, man, we got one. We got one for you here. This is just a crazy, crazy story. This is from TMZ. And when I read this, I just was like, what? Everybody knows Weezer, right? Say it ain't so, oh, right? Everybody knows Weezer. And if you haven't heard, Weezer's bassist wife, Jillian Lauren, is released on $1 million bond after allegedly opening fire on the cops, and then the cops shot her. She's alive, but we're learning more about the police shooting incident involving Jillian Lauren Schreiner, wife of Weezer bassist Scott Schreiner, in L.A. this week. She's been released on $1 million bond after allegedly firing a single shot and being booked with attempted murder. It's a crazy story. Weezer. What? TMZ also obtained police scanner radio, which provides new insight into Tuesday's crazy shootout between Jillian, the bass player's wife of Weezer. As you can hear, officers on the ground and helicopters flying overhead coordinate a response search for a male suspect, who apparently stripped down to his boxers and attempted to jump in a pool to throw off the chase. That was next door. Okay? So Jillian was shot by police when she emerged from her house, which was next to this house, with a gun in her hand as the male suspect prowled their next-door neighbor's backyard where the pool was located. As we reported yesterday, LAPD and Highway Patrol responded to a hit-and-run crash on the 134 freeway about 3:30. One of 3 suspects ran from the scene into the surrounding Eagle Rock neighborhood and into a backyard next to the Weezer bassist house. Jillian allegedly came out of her house with a gun in hand, and cops searching for that suspect alleged she pointed her weapon at them. Police said Jillian ignored multiple commands to drop her weapon, and law enforcement say she just fired one shot, and then at least one officer fired at her, striking her in the shoulder. Jillian was treated for a non-life-threatening gunshot injury, then arrested and booked on attempted murder charge. She's been bailed out. A source with direct knowledge tells TMZ Scott Schreiner was not home during the incident and was at a work-related project. That is nuts. The original suspect was arrested at the scene. They got everybody. And as a side note, apparently Coachella is going on this weekend, and Weezer is playing. So that's going to be interesting. All right. What do we got here? We got people out clearing trash from New Jersey beaches. Guess what some of them have found? Trash cleared from New Jersey beaches includes vampire teeth and a bathroom sink. Of course. New Jersey Group said its 2024 beach cleanup operations resulted in 276,000 pieces of trash being cleaned up, including unusual items like a rubber foot. I mean, what? A full can of ravioli? Huh? And a set of vampire teeth, which probably belongs to whoever had the rubber foot. Clean Ocean Action released its beach sweep reports. The Dirty Dozen, the 12 most commonly found items on beaches include, are you ready? You guys got a pen and paper? You know, this is going to be on the test. Included plastic bottle caps, food wrappers, straws, bottles, cigarette filters, paper pieces, pack and foam, metal drink cans. But some of the more unique items included, like I said, vampire teeth, the rubber foot, unopened can of ravioli, a punching bag, a full container of Wawa brand sausage and eggs. What? A gallon of maple syrup. Okay. A message in a liquor bottle, a Victoria's Secret bra, a jar of cannabis, which that makes the most sense, I feel. An inflatable hot tub, a bedpan, which, what? Multiple uncooked hams, a boat cabin door, and a bath room sink. Okay, folks. I think it's time for a palate cleanser. I'm going to play a little ditty for y'all. And then I'll be back, and we'll do a little more, and then I'll get out of here. Here's On My Knees, Red Clay Strays on 95.9. And that's how you do it. On My Knees by the Red Clay Strays on 95.9 KRFF LPFM. RadioFreeFargo.org is streaming if you want to get online and listen to us. What in the World with Wilson? I'm your boy Wilson. I've curated a week's worth of wacky news that's created by the humans in the world and the animals as well. And I bring it to you every Thursday, 4 o'clock. I hope you've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying myself. Again, I never read any of these articles. I just link them up and I ride. So I've been kind of amused myself. Now, this is from UPI. NASA offers $3 million in competition to recycle human poop in space. And that's crazy sounding to me because I didn't realize there was, what's all the poop doing up there? Space poop? All right. So, apparently, there's an unusual problem that needs solving: recycling feces and other human waste in space. What? The Space Agency's Lunar Recycle Challenge calls on members of the public to propose a technological means of recycling astronauts' feces, urine, and other nasty stuff on the moon and during long-haul space flights. Now, here's an interesting tidbit that I want you to kind of focus on here for a second. There are currently 96 bags of human waste that were left behind on the moon by astronauts from the Apollo mission. How do you know that? What and how? Why so much? How long were they even up there? And the aim of the Lunar Recycle Challenge is to prevent adding to the stinky space stash. Why is there 100 bags of waste on the moon? I thought it was cheese. I thought there was cheese up there. Whatever. The chosen technology will be put to use on future space missions, including hypothetical long-term outposts on the moon. NASA is committed to sustainable space exploration. And that is just a crazy story. 96 bags of waste on the moon as we speak. Now, I've been doing a lot of this. We've got the beach. All the interesting things found on the beach. Now, this is Uber's lost and found items, including live turtle and chainsaw. Uber released its annual Lost and Found Index and accounting of items left behind in rideshare cars, including a mannequin head with human hair, whoa, a live turtle, and a 5-gallon bucket of beans. I can't make this stuff up. And why you leaving? Here's the thing. Why you got 5 gallons worth of beans in the first place? That's kind of what I'm curious about. What you doing with beans? What you doing with that many beans, bruh? The 2025 Uber Lost and Found Index, released Tuesday, also revealed other stuff, phones, keys, whatever. And I didn't know this, but New York City has been named the most forgetful city. Oh, man, we're not done yet. Some of the most unique items included a mannequin head with human hair, a chainsaw, a Ghostbusters ghost trap, fresh breast milk, a urinal, a set of Shrek ears. Wow, what? 15 hookahs. That's crazy. A bouquet of 100 red roses, Ozempic, of course, 10 live lobsters, a Viking drinking horn, a taxidermied rabbit, and a passenger's divorce papers. Now, besides the 5-gallon bucket of beans, 175 hamburger sliders have been left on an Uber, 108 eggs. This is the craziest thing. 24 cans of corn been left in an Uber. I don't know what to say about all that, but that is nutty. And if you're looking for your 5-gallon bucket of beans, I'm your boy. Just kidding. I don't have them. All right. Well, let's keep cruising here. I don't know what we got. What do we have here? Again, you're listening to Canna-Talk. Canna-Talk. Isn't that crazy? I just did that. Let's just keep cruising. This from the AP News. Taiwan marathon organizers apologized after giving out prizes in the shape of a Chinese machine gun. Now, the thing with this is that Taiwan has been nervously awaiting China potentially overcoming their country. And so for you to be out running and to get a machine gun in the shape of a golden Chinese machine gun as a prize, not cool. Apparently, China claims Taiwan as its own territory and threatens to use force to bring it under control. So this guy was handing out Chinese machine guns as prizes. That's not very smart. I don't like that guy. That's a problem. That's a problem. Now, this is interesting. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Weight Watchers prepares for bankruptcy. And you want to know why? Because all the weight drugs. They're like, why? And you can eat whatever you want on Ozempic. So the company, which faces financial pressure and disruption, is still negotiating with the key group leaders. They're preparing to file for bankruptcy as a part of a plan to hand control whatever. And Oprah has recently went off the board because, again, she's been using Ozempic. So you can't say it's Weight Watchers when you're taking a pill. You know what I'm saying? Well, here, this from the Daily News. Man arrested for battery of lemonade stand worker who denied free refill. What's up with this guy? Transient man was arrested for getting physical with a worker at a kid's lemonade stand in Florida when he was denied a refill. Police in Clearwater claim Stephen came across a juice stand being operated by children and the victim in a residential area around 7:30 p.m. He bought himself a bev. He then became angry because he couldn't refill his cup. The age of the female victim isn't noted in the report. He's accused of then grabbing the victim's wrist while standing in the fighting stance and threatening to beat her right on up before fleeing on foot. Cops said the suspect admitted to the confrontation, but claimed the situation escalated because the lemonade stand worker was talking smack to him. Police said this guy who pleaded not guilty to felony battery is homeless. He reportedly has a rap sheet that includes trespassing, narcotics, disorderly intoxication, assault, and weapons charges. All the kind of requirements for a person who is going to assault a poor kid over a refill at a lemonade stand. Now, here's our freak of the week here, folks. Local 12 News. Former teacher arrested after allegedly accidentally sending child porn to medical office. An elderly former teacher and coach, which is both horrible titles for somebody like this, was arrested after he allegedly accidentally sent a pornographic image depicting a child to a medical office that had requested a form submission. According to court documents, he allegedly mistakenly did it. So after the crime was reported, they investigated his home, and he had all kinds of stuff on his computer. When interviewed, he allegedly told police he'd been a high school, middle school teacher and coach for over 3 decades, and that he had been collecting the material for over 20 years. Now, this guy needs to be locked up. If he tripped and fell from a big building, you know what I mean? Who knows? Who knows? What else we got a good one for you. But I'm going to play one more song here, and then we'll wrap this thing up. So, here's Pomplamoose. It's the end of the world as we know it.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Well, I feel fine, too. It's the end of the world as we know it. Pomplamoose. KRFF 95.9 LPFM. Radio Free Fargo. .org. You're listening to What in the World with Wilson for just a few more minutes, and then we got TGIAF, so hang out for that. Shout out to our community partners at Fix It Forward Auto Care. With 4 Fargo, Moorhead, and West Fargo locations, they handle anything from routine maintenance to complex vehicle repairs. Fix It Forward focuses on quality, integrity, and giving back to the community. For more information, you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, or at their website at fixitforwardautocare.com. Well, we're going to wrap this thing up here, and then we'll see you next Thursday. Now, this is from the Mirror, and this is interesting. Okay, well, there's a town in Tisdale that's got a big welcome to Tisdale, land of rape and honey. A town which boasts of being the land of rape and honey may ditch its infamous slogan after nearly 60 years. And I love how they say may ditch it, like they're not sure yet. The 3,000 residents of Tisdale, Canada, are being polled on the name after some complained it was being misunderstood. Well, of course, I didn't know we were talking about oilseed rape industry. I mean, what in the world is that? It's meant to refer to the town's once booming oilseed rape industry. Maybe it's pronounced different, but still, it's horrible. But the connotations with, an assault has raised eyebrows. The town's not even a rape capital anymore. Since the yellow crop used in farm feed and vegetable oil takes up less than 1% of its field. Even honey production ain't even happening. So chiefs have come up with alternative names, including a place to be, a land of canola and honey. But I think it's probably best if they get that word, rape removed. That makes sense to me. Now we got a couple fun ones here. It's from the Independent UK. Cops investigating if Missouri foster mom traded a kid for a monkey to boost her exotic animal collection. What? Let's read that again. Cops investigating if Missouri foster mom traded a kid for a monkey to boost her exotic animal collection. Oofta. Brenda, who fostered more than 200 children over the years, has reportedly being a collector of exotic animals, was arrested over the weekend. And you should Google this lady. She's crazy looking. Foster mom in Missouri has been taken into custody as authorities investigate whether she gave up one of her children in exchange for a monkey. Well, she faces 3 felony counts of neglect, child abuse, and child endangering, according to Lincoln County Prosecutor Mike Wood. The charges stem from allegations of a missing child that was later located in Texas. A witness who had come forward with some info regarding the systemic abuse that was going down in the home had said that they had been asked to bring the child down to Texas and bring the monkey back in return. Whoa. We got one more story and then I'm out of here. I was thinking maybe it was a mistake, said an Arlington woman. Says her family was charged $88 for 4 small cups of ice cream on the National Mall. Melissa Hayes says the food truck vendor repeatedly brushed her off when she asked how much it would be. They decided to go for a little bike ride from their home, and they decided to stop and get some ice cream. Why not, We found that one was at the end. It didn't have a long line, which the rest did. So I was like, well, that's weird, but okay. We thought we're lucky for the shorter line. She goes, can I get 4 ice cream cones vanilla? And I said, how much is that? And he just turned around and started doing, getting it together. As he began handing her the ice cream, she goes, what's the price again? I said, how much was that, sir? He took my card and he swiped it, and he was overwhelmed because there was a lot of people, so he didn't answer me. He swiped my card, gave it back to me. I thought I was just like, he's busy, he's frustrated. Well, he couldn't be busy. There was no line. So they took the cups, and they didn't even have cones. They just left. Hayes said she thought nothing of it, but soon realized the hefty charge when she checked her bank statement. $22 a cup of ice cream. She was mad, Was thinking maybe it was a mistake. She got a receipt, started Googling the invoice name, trying to find him. I wish it was the best ice cream, but it wasn't. Local food truck vendor Sam, who operates near the mall, explained to blah, blah, blah that $7 is the price he charges ice cream. He was disappointed to hear what happened to the family. He explained the bad vendor behavior is a bad thing. Wow, that's crazy. Inflation, I guess. Inflation, I guess. Anyway, up next, TGIAF. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook, 1,200 mgs, locally grown hemp, whipped up into a fantastic tub of body butter for your outer body butter, buddy. Oh, I used to do all the drugs, but not today, even though it may sound like it. And I give the man upstairs props for helping me get to almost 5 years, and I show him my thanks. 417 Main Avenue, Antioch Church, every Sunday, 10 a.m. recovery, 11 a.m. worship. I'm out the door, people. Okay. And I'll see you guys next Thursday. Again, up next, TGIF. Right now, remember to breathe. Sturgill Simpson. Peace.